Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I offer whatever suits your time zone. And please let me know if you can hear me, if you're in the chat. It is a bad day in the office for all of us Chelsea fans. I was been heartbroken since the game, and there's no other way to put it. And unfortunately for us, what happened. So we're going to talk about it today. Let me share my screen quickly because the app that I'm using is important. I want us to look at the stats and see how badly the team played today. So yeah, and I do hope everybody is enjoying their holiday. Now, also, I do have the link in the chat in case you'd like to join the conversation. You're very, very welcome to do so. And if you're in the chat and you can hear me or wherever you're watching from, if you're watching from Twitter or Facebook, or maybe you're watching on YouTube, just let me know. So yeah, this season wasn't one of those games. Hi, Sid. Welcome to the stream. Can you hear me, Sid? If you can hear me,
Yes,
welcome
yes, I
to
can
the
hear you.
awesome, awesome. Welcome to the stream. As I was saying, that it's
Thank
indeed a
you.
very bad day at the office for all of us Chelsea fans. And I'm glad you've joined the panel so that we can have a conversation about the situation. I'm sharing the screen so we can look at the stats and see how bad of a game we had today. It wasn't just one of those days that people argue, well, we were unlucky, but today we were just lucky not to have considered more goals or not to have lost the game. And that's an unfortunate situation. So, Sid, let me start by asking you overall, what do you think about the lineup when the game started? Some people argued a lot of players were played out of position. Yeah, that's the situation. That's how I see it too. But what do you think?
Well, I think I didn't really have any problem with the lineup per se, but the performance was just bad. I felt like maybe Tuchel was he made his lineup with one eye on the Liverpool game on the weekend because that was I think that's the only reason he could have wanted to rest someone like Alonso and not start him from the beginning and play James on the left, and then Aspilicueta on the right. So I think that was probably with an eye towards the Liverpool game on Saturday, but there was no excuse for the performance, man. We were poor. Like
No,
we
not
never.
at all. No, yeah, no excuse at all. But here's the question: if you're saying he had an eye on the Liverpool game, how about the phrase taking it back game by game? Because it's a very very crucial stage of the
It
season.
is.
Yeah, so we should.
That's why it was just a bad day in the office for everyone, starting from the coach, the players, and everyone. It was a bad day at the office because this is the festive period. The games come thick and fast. So you can only go game by game. You cannot play a game with an eye towards the next game. And we paid dearly for it because after we scored that game, Brighton had the next 13 chances in that match. That was we never had another shot on goal until towards the end of the second half from the time that Brighton conceded that goal. So that told you that we completely lost that game. We lost our midfield. We didn't have any control of the game, and we were actually lucky to escape with 1 point. If Brighton had scored first, and of course, Mendy was fantastic in post, but it was we could have lost that game easily, very
You could
easily.
argue even Mendy looked shaky.
I mean, the goal that he considered wasn't really. I think that goal will beat any goalkeeper. I don't care who you are. So, considering that he was good in all the other shots that came to him, so I didn't really see him performing that badly because that goal wasn't his fault at all. Chalobah just got out jumped by Welbeck and he scored that goal. But overall, it was just a very poor performance. I think our midfield, I was really disappointed with Jorginho and Kovacic because you will think that with those two in the midfield, they should have a better hold on the game, better control on the game. But that never happened. And
Yeah, it
you know
just
what?
looked as if like that. you could argue telepathic connection he has with Kovacic is dying up. It's not there anymore. Usually when two of them are on the pitch, you could argue
Right.
the only thing you lack usually when you play them both as 2-6s is the defensive aspect of the game will usually expose. But that telepathic connection, that plays that you see between the two of them, Jorginho and Kovacic, we didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has to do with him just coming back from his long injury and COVID layoff, but something is definitely off with that partnership. We actually was able to stop the bleeding in midfield a little bit when Kante came in, in the second half. That's when we actually the game became more like 50-50 because up to that point, it was like 70-30. They were just bombarding the Chelsea post. We didn't have no control in the midfield. They were just running us ragged. But when Kante
Yeah,
came in, he kind of went back to 50-50. So maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt just because this is like his second or third game coming back after a long injury and COVID layoff. So, but it's really unfortunate because we're losing form at a terrible period in the season.
yeah,
There's a
very
saying that
very critical period because the and again the fact is, yeah, I've always argued that Man City at some point will falter, and we can start see the signs that they indeed will falter at some point. But if we're far behind by up to 8, 12 points, then it will be difficult for them to falter
honestly, I
that
don't
much that we'll
see
be able to catch up. So that's why I'm
like
arguing why didn't Tuchel structure things in a manner because the truth still remains we had enough players to win this game.
we
Why
do.
not
We had a lot of players.
approach
Like
it
that's
the
why I said it
phrase?
was just a bad day in the office for everyone because and when you watch Manchester City, those guys don't even look like they want to drop any points. They win even when they play terrible. Their last two games, I think the game before when they played against Wolves, you know, they were they weren't up to par. I mean, they still won with a controversial penalty, but still, even with I think Jimenez being sent off and all of that, but like I don't know if it was that game or the game that he got sent off, but they weren't any good in that game, but they escaped the 1-0 win. This is what you need to do at this time of the season because now games are coming in 2, 3 days. So you need to just grind out the wins, whether you're playing well or not. And now we are about, I think, with their win today, we were 6 points. We're about 8 points behind them now. Do you
Yeah,
really see Man City dropping 8 points in the next to the end of the season? I don't see that happening. And then our next game is against Liverpool, which are direct contenders for the second position. So I'm really very concerned because this is a terrible time in the season to lose form. But that seems to be what the position that we are in right now. We've lost form. Usually, our backbone used to be the fact that we don't concede goals, but we haven't had a clean sheet in the past 8 games.
yeah,
So it's almost like
that begs the question because the lack of clean sheets in the past 8 games highlights how important N'Golo Kante is to this team. He was fit enough to play, and that's also I'm going to repeat myself. I'm starting to sound like a broken record again. What about the phrase take it game by game? Why not? Why didn't we play to at least win this one, clinch the points, and then put Liverpool under pressure? And we just blew it. This
yeah,
Kante, when he
it
came in, you
was
saw now it was clear that what we were missing in the midfield was just Kante alone to help us stabilize things there because no matter where you deploy him on the pitch, he still provides some measure of protection for our defense. But we left him on the bench until it became clear that we have a problem. Before, and I really want us to talk about Charity FC, that phrase there, whether it's a phenomenon, whether it's a mentality thing, whether it's just a myth, because it's a serious issue. It just seems as if the weaker the team, the more you should be afraid of Chelsea not getting a result out of that game. But that's, by the way, we're going to look at the questions in the chat or inputs of, and again, I have to recognize the presence of Grintov, our brother, the guy with one of the biggest Chelsea fan channels in the community. I think you should check it out too, see it if you haven't. Now, I'm going to share the screen again so we see how badly we performed today. And we must bear this at the back of our mind. We were at home. We were at home.
Right.
And they had an XG of 0.86 where we have an XG of 0.67. That it may not sound too much, but that is huge for me because we were at home. And they created 18 chances while we created just 11 chances.
Right.
Yeah, chances created, no, 14 chances while we created just 9. They had 18 shots while we had just 11. They outplayed us in every department. Accurate passes for them is 369. Accurate passes for us is 334. That's a huge difference. And the pass accuracy is 80%, both teams. Fouls considered, that's irrelevant for me. And corners, I think we have more corners, but in most important departments like the XG, passes, goals created, and shots, they outplayed us. How is that possible? It's not like we have enough good players to win this game.
If you've always watched Brighton play, you see Brighton is a team that likes to possess the football. So I wasn't surprised in that, but I felt like that was a chance for Chelsea to hit them back because, possession is good, but when you possess the ball, you also have the chances of making mistakes. So I was thinking that we could put pressure on them and capitalize on their mistakes and put the game to bed, but we never did that. And all the blame is on everybody on the pitch. I mean, Kante, I couldn't really see Kante starting because if you remember, he came off injured in the last game. So I'm sure Tuchel that this plan probably was never to play Kante today at all. He only put Kante in there because we lost complete control of that midfield. The pressure was just incessant on the Chelsea goal, and I know that's why he brought on Kante. So on a good day, Kante wouldn't have played this game even 1 minute of it. He would have tried to get some rest and try to get better and heal for the next game on the weekend against Liverpool. But I don't know, man. We're just
Okay. How about deploying what's his name Callum Hudson-Odoi as the left wing back man there, whereas he was brilliant as one of the number 8s in the last game he played. So some will argue, and I see that maybe it was an attacking intent, but I think we should have seen it earlier that we're struggling. The 2 number 8s we had today didn't really play well. They didn't really get the job done. Why not swap things around and move him further forward so that he can get the job done for us and bring in Alonso earlier than we did actually? So why deploy him as a left wing back guy there?
I mean, Alonso defensively, I actually preferred James playing there because Tariq Lamptey is a very fast player. So if you put Lamptey against Alonso, Lamptey will eat him for lunch every single time. He will all day long. He will eat him for lunch. So James was actually very perfect because if you look at that game before James got injured, Lamptey didn't get better of him a lot of times. But when Alonso actually came in, he was going past him like he wasn't even there. So defensively, Alonso is no match for the speed of Tariq Lamptey on there. So I don't have any problem with James starting at left back the way he started. It's just a bad day at the office. He's just a all around. We didn't have a good shift. Especially, I think the issue is our midfield. Maybe it's Kovacic just coming back from injury. He's not up to speed yet because usually our best combination in midfield is Jorginho, Kovacic, and Kante. That's our best midfield. And for those 3 to be in there and we still weren't able to go ahead and win the game, it tells you that Chelsea is just lacking some confidence right now. And that's really affecting teams.
That's a great point. It just clear as if before we talk about the charity FC, because I call it a phenomenon, and that's exactly what it is. The question is, do you sense any issues with the players' attitude today, like body language? One example is the body language of Christian Pulisic. You could argue his reason was that he's being played out of position. So there is, I'm sensing something that he doesn't really like it. So
I mean, I'm sure
what
he
do you
doesn't like
think?
that.
Do you
He
think
doesn't
there's
like
an
it,
issue
but
there?
sometimes
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm sure he doesn't like it because he had to. He was forced to do a lot of defensive work. March on the left was just pulling him left, right, center, back. So I'm sure he doesn't like it, but sometimes as part of a team, you have to take one for the team, like they say. So he had to suck it up and play. Is that his natural position? Absolutely not. But a lot of players were played out of position. So this is the time that you just have to play as a collective. But unfortunately, we didn't really do that because with Pulisic, because of all the defensive work he was doing, offensively he was really not there. He was just not there offensively. So it's just hindsight is 2020. We could sit back and second guess every decision that was made, whether by the coach or by during the game or before the game or any of that. We could second guess any of that, but the fact of the matter is just that Chelsea is just not playing well right now. We lack confidence. We are not, we're conceding way too many goals compared to what we are used to, and we're not scoring enough. And when you don't do that, teams punish you. You see, like when that game, when I was watching that game, I kept telling myself that Chelsea need another goal to put this game to bed. At 1-0, I was never confident because this is the Premiership. Teams can, and when the longer the game goes on and it's still 1-0, you're giving momentum to the team because they feel we could escape here with something. Just like when Hudson Odoi had that part, there was a chance he had 2-on-1 with I think it was him and Mason Mount, and he couldn't pass the ball to him. He got intercepted. I was like, we might be made to pay for this because this is the Premiership. If we had scored that second goal, naturally Brighton would have started thinking, okay, we don't want to concede three, we don't want to concede four because they're also conscious of the goal difference and all of that, and that will unconsciously make them to fall back a little bit. But because the game was still tied at 1-0 going into the last 15 minutes, that's why they're able to bring in offensive reinforcement, bring in Danny Welbeck, bring in the other guy, and turn the game around. So that's the Premiership, man. Like if you give teams a chance, they will take it. After the Chelsea game, I kind of saw a little bit of a Man City game with Man City versus um,
It was
um,
Brentford.
Brentford. Yes, Man City Brentford, and the game was 1-0 for a long time, and Brentford was putting them under pressure. But guess what? The
You could
moment
see
they
you could
scored,
see Pep wasn't settled at all.
yeah, he wasn't settled. But Man City pushed on, and the moment they scored the second goal, these guys gave up. And that's the Premiership for you. If you keep it at 1-0, Simple always think that they can come back and take something from the game.
Yeah, I think we'll come back to the match again. Let's digress a little bit and try to answer this question on the screen. What happened to us? You can answer the question from angle that we have too many injuries, from the angle that we have so many players who contracted COVID, or you could you know answer it from any angle you want. Ty, starting from you, what happened to us? How do we answer this question? Then we'll go back to the match later.
I is it in this game or in general?
In general, what's happening to us? Let me phrase it that way.
I think we've become complacent. Obviously, we've lacked the finishing product in the final third. Obviously, in games we've had to rely on penalties and corner kicks. So yeah, and basically what Greenchef also said a while ago, Graham Potter in this case, outclassed us because his team was set up in a way that kept pressurizing Chelsea. They had no space to breathe. Every time they had the ball, you had two or three players surrounding that player. So I mean, we've become complacent. We've lacked that finishing product for weeks now, and I mean, when it comes on to the fact where you have to be relying on penalties to really get over the finishing line, it really shows how much you're lacking that ending product in that final third.
Yeah, that's again another way to see it. But this here's why I see it. And let me answer it from the no angle that we have so many players injured and out, most of which we're not sure when they're going to come back. Now, it just seems as if something I see in Jurgen Klopp's team. It just seems it's a manager's approach. Is that the reason why so many of our players are getting injured? Because I don't think it has happened to us like this before. Is it the manager's approach that could be an issue? Because I don't think, if you remember when he newly arrived at Chelsea, our pressing was out of this world. It worked for a while. When you have the ball, when you're playing against Chelsea, if you waste a second on the ball, you'd have 2, 3 players, Chelsea players on you. I know that has subsided a little bit. It has changed. Do you think is a manager's approach? Is that the reason why we're seeing so many of our players get injured? Because it hasn't been like this. It's just in quick succession, and some of them actually are not fully fit yet. But we just have to. We're being forced to use them. So to me, if you ask me, I say that's one of the key reasons why we're suffering right now. It has to be to some measure the manager's approach or training approach or however you want to see it. Brother, welcome to the chat, and I don't want to try pronouncing your name so I don't butcher it. I instead apologizing.
No worries,
How do you say your name? At least we all know how to say it correctly.
It's just Persona.
Persona. Okay,
Yeah.
Persona, welcome to the stream, and this is your first time appearing on the panel for Chelsea Perspective. What
Yeah,
do you
man,
think?
long
What's
due.
happening to us? What's going on? Why are we having so many players out injured, and why are we underperforming so badly that we were outplayed by Brighton at home? Almost in every critical department, they have 0.86 xg, and we had 0.67 xg. They had total 18 shots, and we had just 11. Chances, they created 14 chances, and we created 9. And for passes, they had 369 passes, and we have 334. What's happening to us?
I don't know. It's just like at least in the games before where we drew at home. I mean, you take the Burnley, you take Man United, you take Everton. It's a case of where we had so many chances, we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and one mistake and the opposition score. But today it was the exact opposite. I think one thing you could say is towards the end, I felt Jorginho was heavily fatigued. I'm surprised
Not
he
even towards the end. You're being fair if you're saying towards the end. Even at around 35 minutes and all, we could see that. I think you could say that Jorginho was confused today. We were everywhere. There were no some call even defensively. And Alonso gets the ball to, I don't know, he literally was begging the Burnley defender, hey, here's a pass for you. Come do something with it against us. Just something similar. It was just everywhere, mistakes after mistakes, and there were no coordination whatsoever. No link-up play, proper link-up play whatsoever until Kante came in. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's the thing. I mean, I don't want to say ask my head or something, but does he have like a plan B? Because when we have a set 11, we seem to be playing extremely well and we are playing well. But when we don't have players, does he have a backup plan? Because we see players like Hudson-Odoi. I mean, I don't want to go too hard on him, but today I think he was a complete joke. I mean, some of his decision making in the final third. I mean, even though we played so bad, he has a chance to make it 2-0. How do you not take that? I mean, and there was one opportunity where it was, I think it was near a corner. He tries to put a cross in and it goes out for a goal kick. I mean, that's just typical Hudson-Odoi. I mean, he played a few games earlier this season in forward position, left wing, and he actually did quite well. So I was thinking, okay, let's give him a few more run of games. But today he clearly showed that he's not cut for this level yet. And you can probably only pick out 2 or 3 players who played well today. I think Lukaku played well. He had a good game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'd only say only Lukaku. Otherwise, overall, I'm so sorry. It was just, I don't want to use the F word. It was just a crappy show overall. The whole team collectively underperformed, except Romelu Lukaku. He was his pressing
Yeah,
today was.
Rudiger played well too. I think Rudiger played well.
But they
Lukaku
were
played well,
confused.
but
You'd argue in the absence of Thiago Silva, you expect Rudiger to lead the back line well, but he didn't do that. That's the thing. So for me, that's your opinion. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no. It's opinion is this is an everybody has their own opinion. The thing is, Rudiger fundamentally plays different from Thiago Silva. See, that's why I always tell you guys that I think it's very unfair when you compare the role Thiago Silva plays in the team to any other person. Thiago Silva is like a conductor at that back. He's the one pushing the strings, telling people, move, fall back, go here, go there. So that's really different from the role that Rudiger plays in the team. As far as his role, I think he played well for the role he plays. But, the moment Christensen got injured and Chalobah came in, Chalobah just doesn't have that experience yet. Because Silva is not the fastest guy, but the thing is, he's seen it all. Before the move even comes through, he knows what you're going to do. His positional play is excellent. I bet you if it was Thiago Silva that was there is no way Welbeck would outjump him to head in that goal that we conceded.
Not a hope in hell's chance.
There's no chance that will happen. So this is that. So when Chalobah is there, he doesn't have the experience level or the know-how, the football know-how to marshal that backline consistently. And like you were saying earlier, Jorginho had a terrible day in the office today. He was just all over the place. I don't know what, maybe I don't know if it's fatigue or if it's lack of form. He's injured because the last I heard they say he had this back problem. So, but whatever the case is, he just was not himself. So it's unfortunate, but Chelsea is just losing form at the worst possible time. Because I was looking at before this show, I was looking at the next games we have. We are playing Tottenham Hotspur 3 times in the next 3 weeks. We have Liverpool, and Tottenham with Anthony Conte. They are motivated right now. When you watch their games, they are relentless. So,
I'm saying Conte will be rubbing his palm like this and say that's a good one for us coming up.
Conte will be very, very motivated to play Chelsea. So the fact that we play them 3 times in the next 3 weeks, two in the Carabao Cup and 1 in the Premier League, and then we have Liverpool to come. So I really hope we can get our acts together because this is the terrible time. This is the worst possible time to be in a funk like Chelsea is right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think since we're involving those in the chat, I think I'm just gonna throw away the structure so that we talk a little bit and then we look at the input of those in the chat, and I understand what Chris meant here for them beating they beat Liverpool for us, and he has a very good channel too. So they played the half of the deal. So it's up to us, and we couldn't do something. So now, Sydney, coming to the situation, I'll come to you. I'll come back to you, Pras and Ty. What's happening to us overall? Because that's the question. Something is definitely not right. You can't just say it's just overall about the injuries we had. I
think it's not just I think the team just lacks confidence. We lack confidence. We are not fit. Players are not fit. And because players are not fit, guys are being played out of position. And because they are being played out of position, they are just not confident. I mean, look at today, like the other guy was mentioning earlier, when Hudson-Odoi had a 2-on-1 with Mason Mount against, in the second half, we didn't even, from that chance, we didn't even create a shot on target. That's the worst possible scenario. That just tells you that we just lack confidence right now, because if we had scored that goal 2-0 up, that will give Brighton pause on how they attack because they don't want to concede 3 or 4. So I think the team overall just lacks confidence, and the injury in the squad is not making it any better. And the earlier something happens to correct it, usually, it's if you have a great performance and beat a good team, that might bring that confidence back. But for whatever it is, we're just not confident right now playing as a team.
That's another way to see it. Confidence is, I think, is an issue because we missed. If your players are that as confident as we think they are, they should be putting away some of the chances that we've had in the past few games we played. But the misses have been woeful. That I'd like to call them misses, honestly. But that's by the way. Now let's digress again a little bit, since there's no structure to this stream right now. The statement from Eric, my brother Eric Blue, says this team needs an overhaul. We are far away from the title right now, and that is the truth. Now, the question is that brings me to the issue or the phrase charity FC. I'll start from you, Tyrone, then I'll go to Pras. The charity FC, is it a myth? Is it a phenomenon? Or is it just a curse? What is it for you? Or just a player mentality?
I think it may be three of those four you just said. I th- but I don't think it's a myth. I think it's actually something that you really have to focus on. I think it's a phenomenon as well. It's the mentality as well. I've always complained about the mentality of the squad. I've always said that, and even Green Turf said something underneath that comment about maybe
Yeah,
the
we'll come
system
to
is
that. We'll
covering
come
them.
to that.
Yeah, but at the same, I Charity FC, I've said that I think CFC should now mean Charity FC and not Chelsea FC, because practically there's a phenomenon that we are able to beat teams or grind out results against top teams, and then we're such a wonderful and a nice club that we are given to charity against the lower teams, and just giving them 1 point here, or a 3 point here, or maybe, or on some occasions we'll be able to win them. But I think Charity FC is actually something that is coming to life, because we seem to be a very nice club. We're not a rootless team. We're not heartless. We love to give once in a moon. So obviously, I think it's something that is really something true and not a myth.
Mm. Yeah, the most important thing I learned from you right now is that it is real, and it is a bit of the three things I mentioned. Coming to you, Pras, Charity FC, a phenomenal player mentality, a curse, or just a myth? What is it to you? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. So it's not a myth because it's turning out to be true. At least for the last 2 or 3 seasons, at least from Conte's second season, we have been Charity FC. I mean, in most of the games. I mean, I do question some of the players' mentality in this thing. We know we can turn up, but do they have the consistency as the likes of Manchester City? You look at Man City, even their B team would finish second. That's the amount of quality and depth they have. We have depth in players, but we don't have the enough. We don't have enough quality to
Or
even
variety,
match.
if you like.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Man City and Liverpool have won the title before, so they know how to do it better. And at least from the coach's perspective, Pepper's won it 3 times. I think he is going for his he will win his fourth this time. It's already 8 points. I don't think Man City are slipping any further. Um, I think it would be close between second and third because Liverpool would have players missing going out on Afcon, so that might give us a chance if we somehow what do you say, capitalize on some of the games going in January. But I don't know. It's we got gassed at the start of the season. Yes, we are the European champions. We got Lukaku. We started the season well, and then December comes and slaps us back to reality. And again, it's just another top four talk at the end of the day. I think probably, and it's just again one of those cup run things that we have to hope for this season, as what it is looking for.
Yeah, indeed. December comes and slaps us back to reality. That's a very funny phrase, but it is a fact. Indeed, it is deep. That's what happens. I think, and it's something else you did mention that I'd like to add to is that yes, we have a big squad. We have numbers in terms of squad, but we don't have varieties or quality, if you like. Because think about it, when Kante got injured, we struggled in that area. When Jorginho got injured, we struggled in that area. In Benchill's absence, we've had issues attacking from the left. Also, when Reece James got injured, we had issues. When Lukaku got injured, we have no other defined number 9 to help us. Because there are games that Lukaku is very important. There are games we prefer. Even he started playing that is adding to our the fluidity of our attack, because he's starting to drop deep, participate in the play, and that's good to see. I think that's the change he's made in his game, that he's starting to score right now. But that is, by the way, that brings us to the statement by Eric again. Because you could argue Thomas Tuchel, he hasn't had the time to build his own team. The only signings that he's made so far are Lukaku and what's his name, the Spanish international, Saúl Ñíguez. Coming to you, Seed, because you could argue also there's a structure for every new manager at Chelsea. First, when you come in, you solve the problem at hand. 2, they give you the money to spend to build your own team, just you could say, to fulfill all righteousness. And then 3, the jury will be out watching you the moment the club spends for you. But we could argue that the club hasn't spent for Thomas Tuchel, because it's just it was just more like an emergency spending to get Lukaku in to help us solve the scoring issues we've had in the squad, and Saúl Ñíguez just to help us make up numbers in the midfield area. So, Sid, do you agree with this statement? This team needs an overhaul. We are far away from the title, but the part I want to touch on that statement there is the first part, which says this team needs an overhaul. Because if it is really a mentality issue, then the only way to solve it would be to overhaul the team. That's just my own opinion.
Well, I don't want us to overreact and say that the team needs an overhaul. Don't forget, this team just won the Champions League a few months back. I don't think the team needs an overhaul. It's just right now we're just going through a funk, and it's a terrible time to go through that. We actually have some good players, and when everybody is back and there are no injuries and this COVID situation, Chelsea is actually a decent team. Now, are they drilled to the level of a Man City or a Liverpool? That's debatable. But to say that the whole team needs an overhaul, I think is just is overreacting and being a prisoner of the moment. The thing is, everything starts from our midfield. And like I said earlier, our best combination this season has always been Kante and Kovacic and Jorginho. But for whatever reason, that combination is not clicking. You could argue that it could be because Kovacic is just coming back from a very long injury layoff, coupled with the COVID complications. He's not fully fit. Jorginho has been having back issues, and he hasn't really been himself in the past few games. And Kante, of course, didn't even finish the last game, and he was withdrawn through injury. So if those 3 guys are clicking, then Chelsea is a much better team. Now, Tuchel came in the middle of the season, when he took over from Lampard, and he took the team to the European Championship. So he needs time, at least this season, going into next season, to build a team in his image and maybe add 1 or 2 players that he thinks fits his philosophy of play. So just to answer the question, no, I don't think the team needs an overhaul, but we do need a few reinforcements here and there, which I know Tuchel will be given the chance to do. Right now, I think the Premiership this year is Man City is not dropping 8 points till the season is over. That's not going to happen. So
here's the thing. That's where I disagree with you for a little bit.
No,
go ahead.
The way I see Man City play, I don't see anybody making up the 8-point difference that Chelsea has to. I mean, with Liverpool is 6, but I don't see anybody making it up right now to the end of the season the way those guys are playing.
Okay, that's why I say that's where I disagree with you. But the truth is, 8 points is huge. In terms of talking about Man City, 8 points is huge. The question is, will they falter at some point? They will. We've seen the signs already. They nearly didn't win this game today.
Yeah, but they still won it. Against
see how they
Wolves,
blew away
against
3-0 lead against
Wolves,
Leicester
Man City
City.
was terrible. They still came away with 3 points. You know, if you watch their game, see, at this point of the season, you don't win the championship in December, but you can lose it. And that's exactly what's happening to Chelsea right now. Because if you look at Man City, they are not playing great, but they are grinding out the wins. And that's what you need to do at this point of the season. And that's exactly what they are doing. And it's not like they've had their own injury complications. Kevin De Bruyne was out for a long time. They still found a way to manage. So we could still have a very good season. Don't get me wrong. You know, we're in the semifinals of the Carabao Cup. We still have the FA Cup to play. We're in the last season of the Champions League. So we could still have a very good season, but I just don't see us making up the points to Liverpool. I'm actually more concerned about the guys in fourth place catching up to us based on our current form right now, because we're not playing well. And the earlier we fix that, the better for us. If we don't, Arsenal in fourth is just 6 points behind us, maybe 7 points with this game now, and they have a game in hand. You know, they are playing Man City, so I don't know how that's going to benefit them. But the point is, we have all these teams behind us. Tottenham have 3 games in hand that they still have to make up on. So we are not going to catch Man City as far as I'm concerned, but we could still make it a very good season and build a team heading into next season with a few additions that could compete at the highest level. Because the thing is that the Premiership is unforgiving. The Premiership is very punishing, especially in this festive period, because the games come thick and fast. And if you cannot grind out results even when you're playing bad, then you got a problem. You're not going to win the Premiership.
Yeah, a great argument right there. I think, Man City, they've been winning ugly too. Is they just, it doesn't have to, like you said, if you want to win the league, the wins don't have to be pretty. Sometimes you just have to grind that result, and they've proven that they've done that on occasion this season. And I hope they falter to an extent that we will get a chance to catch up. But the farther we go from them, the more difficult it will be. So,
if we, I would say this: if we don't beat, because we play Liverpool and Man City, if we don't win both of them, we have to get 6 points. That's a minimum now. If we don't win those 2 games, then title is done for. And then I would definitely say title is done. Now it's like Man City do have a heavy upper hand, but if we lose to them, and it's at the Etihad as well, we should not forget that. But if we don't beat Liverpool and we don't beat Man City,
it's over.
Then we're just fighting top 4 again.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it would be difficult then and it will be even more difficult if we lose to them or draw those 2 games. Okay, Price, coming to you. Do you think we need to overhaul the team? Because as I explained before, the 3 stages for a Chelsea manager before the jury comes out are 2. First, you get the chance, you're hired to fix an issue. After fixing the issue, 2, you get the chance to build the team in your own image. And then 3, that's when the jury comes out. After the spendings, you're in trouble. But you could argue we haven't spent that money for Thomas Tuchel. The signings were just emergency signings because he came mid-season. So now the question is, do you think we need an overhaul, just like Eric Blue said here, said this team needs an overhaul? Because for me, if you ask me, I'd say yes. Maybe it's not something that you do, but I know Sydney argued otherwise. It's not something that you do that is drastically. You'd have to be systematic about it, or else you're just starting from ground up, and then you takes time also to build a team. So what do you think? Do you think we need an overhaul? Maybe not really an overhaul, semi-overhaul, overhaul if you want. What do you think, Price?
I don't think an overhaul is needed, because, as I said earlier, if we have our first set 11, we can do things. But once they get injured,
that's the question. But what happens If we have injuries from those first 11, that's what we're going through right now. We're practically
That's
not,
what I'm
we don't
saying.
have
That's
backups
what
in
I'm saying.
every position
That's what I'm
properly.
coming to.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm coming to. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the thing. We need proper backups. And the thing is, as half decent as Alonso was even before this, he's not gonna do it for you on in he's not gonna do for you what Chilwell has been doing. Ross Barkley, I don't know how he's still a Chelsea player. Um, some of the players like that, I think I really am lost for words, to be honest. I don't really kind of.
Yeah, I'd be too, because it's not an easy question to
Yeah,
answer.
I
Because
don't think overhaul is needed. I think probably we should give Coachella, I think, at least in terms of Premier League title charge, I think this season and the next season we should give him, because this is his first full season in England. And Champions League, yes, we won the Champions League, but let's be honest, cup runs are cup runs, and sometimes you do get the luck of the draw there. But in league, you never get the luck. You play all the teams home and away, and you finish top if you're good enough, or if you don't, you finish 2, 3, 4, and whatever. So I think it would take for us at least minimum 1 or 2 seasons more to challenge for the title. That's what I think. And but as Tyron said, is Tyron right?
yes,
Yeah, okay. He said we can still make this a good season. If we can probably win the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup and probably go till at least the semi-final of the Champions League, I think it will still be a good season for us.
yeah, yeah, pretty much the same. You and Sydney are pretty much saying the same thing. Toronto, what do you think? You don't have to wait. Do you think we should make some changes to the team, like 4 or 5 players at least, to sort things out? Because we have a glaring problem in our squad. We have numbers in terms of squad, but we don't have variety in some cases. Because the truth is, after the departure of Willian and Pedro, who else in the squad that you would just say is a proper winger?
You know what? You literally just said, you just took 2 names that I was going to mention a while ago, Willian and Pedro. Those 2 players are players that were not appreciated enough. People will always use the fact that they don't work well by about like getting back. But what there's a guarantee about them was that you could get a goal from them. They would create a chance for themselves and they would score. But I think personally, yes, I think additions are necessary. My problem is, will we be doing it in the winter window or is it going to be in the summer? Because what business can be done in the winter window? Who are we going to be able to bring in? Integration is going to be necessary. Adoption is going to be important. And right now, we need an answer right now, not in a couple of weeks, not in months. It needs to be now, because I made this point earlier that people are teasing Spurs about getting eliminated from the Conference League, and someone mentioned about Conte being Conte having having Spurs playing with great confidence. They have nothing else to focus on except for the Premier League, until the FA Cup comes into play. But I personally think that signings are necessary, and this is Tuchel's first full season, like it was previously mentioned. But at the same time, he wasn't back in the summer because I don't really think that the board was really looking to back him to win the league, because if they did, they would have tried harder to get in more players, because having one permanent signing and one loan signing, that was never going to be good enough, because the and not having some reduction of the poor players, it didn't really help at all, because Barkley, I don't understand. Obviously, we know that they wanted to get him out on loan or probably get a permanent team to sign him, but that never worked out for them. But players like Hakim Ziyech, people are saying that he's not good enough right now. Um, you have other players that are on the book that are not good enough to really help the team go in the right path. I'm hoping that you'll get onto something that I want to speak about with Greencher. But to put it shortly, I think like you said, 4 or 5 players are necessary. But my problem is it in the winter window? Will the business be done in the winter window, or will it be in the summer?
But here's the thing. Let me say this, Tyron. I get your point. We're not known to be patient. The board are not known to be patient. The owner is not known to be patient. And we, the Chelsea fans, we've learned not to be patient. We want success and we want it right now. If that's really how we want it, there's still a lot to play for. There's still the World Cup. There's still cup competitions in England. There's also the Champions League. We have to be brutal in January so that we can go for those competitions. If not, forget about it. We're not winning anything. Because there's two stages to players coming back from injury, and that's probably one of the reasons why we're struggling right now. One being forced, they come back from injury. Two, they join the squad and start training with them. And three, they need match fitness. And there's no guarantee that the types of injuries these players have had, even COVID itself, that they will come back the same players. So yeah, I don't know. See, it looks like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want you guys, like I don't want you guys overreacting on the slump that Chelsea is going through right now. Because like I mentioned earlier, I think you guys are forgetting that Chelsea is the European champions right now. So does the team need a few tweaks here and there? Absolutely. But I think the major thing is that we just need our players back and healthy. And then we can go for and contest things. In the January transfer windows, you hardly get good players. I mean, teams that are still playing in the Champions League, most of the good teams that you find the good players, they are either in the last 16 of the Champions League, the last 32 of the Europa League, or even the UEFA Conference League that they just started. So there's hardly any good players that are settled in their teams that are willing to move in January. So from that perspective alone, the earliest you could get good players is in the summertime, when the season is over and everybody's reevaluating their options. So the best possible thing Chelsea could do right now is, however it's going to happen, get our players back, get them healthy, win a really big game that will bring confidence back, and just get back to the basics of what we used to do, which is not conceding goals. Because when you don't defense wins championships. When you don't concede goals, you have every chance to score a goal here and there. I think the only thing that kind of masks Chelsea's offensive deficiencies is like this season we've had defenders scoring. We had like about
5 goals from Reece James, 3 or 2 from.
You had a lot of games that you see like maybe a set piece corner kick, either Silva scores or Rudiger scores. So because we've had defenders scoring a lot of our goals, it kind of masks the fact that we are really deficient when it comes to the last third. And that becomes very glaring when you play some of these teams and when a few players are out injured and it exposes our weaknesses. But the thing is, Chelsea still has a very good squad. I don't want us to lose sight of that. We have a very good squad, and unfortunately, we're just.
Is the squad balanced? That's the question, Sydney. Do we have a balanced squad? If we had a balanced squad, then we shouldn't be struggling
it's not
right
balanced
now.
Right now. It's not balanced right now because of a combination of injury and COVID and whatever is going on. Because
No. Can we look at it now? See, I didn't mean to cut you off. Assuming everybody is fit now, who else is capable of protecting our defense just like N'Golo Kante does? Nobody else in that team. And the fact that we've considered more than a goal in 4 games right now in the absence of N'Golo Kante highlights that there's no other player in the team that's able to do that. When Jorginho isn't playing, even and that's where I can agree with this Uggs, this brother right here with the comment on the screen, because I like to fight with him, is that Tuchel needs to be a bit flexible. When Jorginho isn't playing, I think we need to tweak our application of the formation we play, or maybe change the formation entirely so that nobody will notice that we don't have Jorginho. Because whether we like it or not, we're so used to playing with Jorginho on the pitch, and whenever he's not playing, our midfield will be disjointed.
Yeah, but do you forget that Jorginho plays there and he's playing well? Jorginho he's not playing at his best. He's injured right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. My point is, I'm trying to highlight the lack of balance. in the team.
That,
And the lack
that's
of balance is the reason why, in the absence of what's his name, Romelu Lukaku, we had no other defined number nine. When we need one, we didn't have one. In the absence of Ben Chilwell, we have Marcus Alonso, which my brother here, Greentop, calls Alonso for obvious reasons. We had no proper, you know, you could say deputy if you want for Ben Chilwell. We struggled, and that's what the lack of balance I'm talking about. Do we have numbers? Yes, we have 10 million players in the squad, all of which I've talked about like a million times. Majority of the players we have in the squad all need space to operate. Without space, the ball goes backwards, sideways, and we cannot progress the ball. That's an issue. We're not balanced. We don't have any player in the mode of what's his name, Eden Hazard, that can help us pull a rabbit out of the hat. The magic and boom, we won games, even games we don't deserve to win. We don't have that kind of a player right now. You see that? It's just that's my point. That's the lack of balance I'm talking about. You go ahead, City. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
no. I mean, like, yeah, you could argue that the team doesn't have balance, but with Chilwell being injured, it kind of exposes that left side because Alonso, for me, I've not been a fan of his. I think defensively he's a liability. But the good thing was like before in seasons past, his offensive input in games has always masked his defensive liabilities. But the problem is that right now he's not producing offensively and he's not producing defensively. That's kind of what the problem is with Alonso. I was actually looking forward to a situation whereby Thomas Tuchel will deploy Aspilicueta on the left and keep Priest on the right hand side. But the problem is that they can't seem to keep fit at the same time. I mean, today now Reece James got injured again, so now you're forced to play Alonso in there again. So yes, the team is not balanced right now, but I think the lack of balance is just because of the lack of fitness and injury we have to our key players. Jorginho, if you look at Jorginho, he's not playing at his best. He's definitely not playing at his best. Kante is hit or miss. Injury is his troubled injury this season. Kovacic just came back from how many months layoff, and then he had COVID and he was out again through COVID. So if we can get those three, I'm telling you, if we can get those three players fit and playing to their full potentials, then you realize that Chelsea has a good team. Because what happens is that when Kante is at his best, the defense is actually protected, that you don't get defense, they don't get exposed as much. Because defense starts from the opponent's half. It doesn't start from when the ball is in your 18-yard box. That's not when you start defending. You defend from the front. But the thing is that when the team is good and playing well and the team players are fit, you don't see these things because they intercept some of these balls higher up the pitch and the defenders don't have too much work to do. But unfortunately now, they are not fit, they are not playing well and we're just paying the price for it. We're not keeping clean sheets and, it's just unfortunate. So, yeah. I don't want to worry about, but once we get those key players.
Sorry, bro. I have to bounce off. I have something else to attend. I'll join you. Can come from another day, bro. Take care.
Thank you very much, Francis. It's an honor having you on the panel, and I look forward to coming to your end so that we can do something together.
Yeah, man. Sure, definitely. Take care. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Now, let's look at it again. Let's let the comments in the chat drive the conversation here. Og says Tuchel needs time to work and also needs to be flexible. The part of this that gets me, that I've always fought with him, is the part he says Tuchel needs to be flexible. Coming to you, Teron, do you think Tuchel isn't flexible enough in terms of his approach?
I wouldn't put it as he's not flexible. I think it's a case where he's not he doesn't have the players, because listen, over his managerial career, he's been a manager who's flexible with formations, but the thing is that he doesn't have the squad where he can switch. Because I can remember in the Zenit game, he tried to play off a back four in the first half, and we leaked goals. So it's a case where you do have that personnel that can really drive him to make those versatility. He because we haven't really seen him switch to a four through a game, and it really worked out. I, the flexibility part, I don't think it's the best way because he doesn't have the personnel. He doesn't have his team. Most of this team is mostly a sorry personnel, Conte and Lampard. So he doesn't really have the the players that can really allow him to put his plans and to really implement his methods that he wants him me want to bring into play.
Mm. I understand lack of personnel for me. So, Oggs, you've lost this fight, and I'm gonna have, Sydney put a nail on the coffin for you. Sydney, do you agree with Oggs that Tuchel hasn't been flexible enough?
I don't see he's. I think he's. I don't think he's inflexible. He's a coach that obviously prefers the back three. That's always his preferred, formation, and coaches are
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
since
So
he came to Chelsea.
yeah, since he came, I think he's stuck to his formation, which is not a bad thing, but he just needs to be able to move. I would have loved to see him move players around more because I think was he when Conte was the head coach for a long time. I think for a few seasons, Aspilicueta was primarily a left back, a left full
Under
back.
Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, so he can actually operate from the left. So I was always thinking that because of all these defensive issues we're having, I would have loved to see him deploy Aspilicueta on the left and keep James on the right because whether you like it or not, he might not be the fast step player, but one-on-one, Aspilicueta is actually very good. He's actually a very good defender one-on-one.
But here's the thing. See, I know you know that already. We're talking about the left wing back position, right? Where Reece James today seemed very confused. Even lots of our players seemed confused. So from the onset, I think he would have at least made some changes, reshuffled things so that players would play in positions where they're comfortable. Now, the primary role of our wing backs, no matter how you want it, isn't to defend. But yes, you have the defensive responsibilities. They do have defensive responsibilities of which they must fulfill. But usually, if we have somebody like N'Golo Kante on the pitch, we're fine by them, just bumping forward as much as they want, supporting the attack. Cesar Aspilicueta isn't a wing back. And believe me, when he plays there, yeah, he offers a lot defensively. But going forward, he can put in some good crosses every now and then. But once he's marked one-on-one, he's good at defending one-on-one, but he's not good at beating players one-on-one. So that brings me back to the issue that the majority of the players we have in our squad needs space to operate. So that's why I'm not for him playing as a wing back since we're not playing four at the back. So he's primarily
when everybody, I wasn't arguing for that when everybody's back. I'm talking about right now that we have issues with the defense that guys are out. Because right now we have Chilwell is out for the season. He just had surgery, I think, yesterday or so, and he's out for the season. Alonso is the only option we have. And like I said earlier, usually Alonso's strong point is the fact that he gives you a lot offensively. But right now, he's not giving us that. So in that case, we might as well play Aspilicueta from the left and, have that defensive solidity and know that, okay, then we depend on whatever the guys on the right-hand side produce. Because I bet you if you have Reece James on the right, which is his natural position, he will be more effective than putting him on the left because at that point, he's not that effective. He actually, if you watch the game today when he got injured because he was coming from the left, but he had to try and come into the right to make the pass because naturally he's not comfortable on the left, and it was in the process of him switching to the middle to switch to the right that he got injured. So that's why I said you could leave him in his preferred position because Offensively, he's very key to what Chelsea does offensively. Reece James is very key to what we do offensively. If you look at the games we've had and the crosses he puts into the box or the goals he scores himself, he's key to what we do. So when you play him out of position, you are taking a very good chunk of our offensive firepower out of the game. So that's the only reason why I'm arguing for Aspi to come in from the left, just because of the fact that we're struggling right now.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
can
get
I
your
add
point.
something?
Yes, go ahead.
He mentioned something about trying something new. That brought me back to a flexibility thing as well. If when you go back to August, we didn't really have a preseason, so even if Tuchel wanted to start to integrate players in a more flexible or versatile manner, he wouldn't really get the chance to, for example, make Chalobah play in the center in the midfield more. And to integrate him as a centre back. Um, Probably trying to get Reece James to play on the left and to try something new. It's something important because, and something I really can't agree with is that when you bring back up that Aspi was the left back or the wing back on the Conte, you have to remember that at that time Aspi was younger as well. He was still able to make runs. He was still able
No, I
to,
think he meant under Mourinho because we can all recall that
yeah,
a season
yeah,
throughout the season
yeah,
he played as a left back.
yeah. Yeah, so at the same time, it would still have to be that he's still young because back then he was what, 20, 25, 26. So at that time,
What he played primarily on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Under Antonio Conte was the right centre back position and not
yeah,
really the wing back.
yeah, yeah, because that would mean that the that in that case he would have been younger then, so he would have been able to be more versatile. No, it's not the case. And another thing is that Aspi and Reece James have that connection on the right, so that you'd be interrupting that as well. To be you'd be disconnecting that thing as well to really have him on the left and having one on the right. I can understand the thing about trying to make him versatile, being Rich James, but at the same time, I'm I'm really not sure if this game was the right game to try. He was trying something new. Rich James is more defensively minded than Alonso, so I understood why he started him. But I really don't think that it was the smartest option to do. But at the same time, he didn't have a preseason, so even if he wanted to try other systems, try different formations, he wouldn't be able to because the Euros interrupted it. So he had no choice.
James was confused. I think the players, the team overall, they seemed confused. Nobody knew what they were doing. They were everywhere. But that's, by the way. And for me, if you ask me, if we're really playing the back three with the intent to attack, then we shouldn't be going for a defensively minded player as Aspilicueta as a wing back. But I understand your argument. We have to make do with what we have. James starting there wasn't the right decision. I'd rather play another player there because, as Sydney did put it, we were missing his input in our attacking area because he was in the wrong place. Now, as we're letting the people in the chat drive the discussion, Ox is really looking for a fight, but he's babysitting, and that is understandable. Now, this question, we're not using wingers properly or not at all. So before buying wingers, let's fix the system. The question is, do we even have defined wingers at all right now? Do we even have natural wingers right now?
I personally think we only have like what, two, probably two. Probably a Calamus
Who
and
and
the
who are you
Pulisic.
calling
Hakim Ziyech
wingers?
is more of an AM.
Hakim Ziyech as a winger,
Maybe
where is the
a
pace?
Pulisic. No, I'm saying I'm saying Hakim Ziyech is more of an attacking midfielder. I'm saying Pulisic and Calamus is probably the closest to a winger to wingers you could probably consider.
What do you think, Sydney? What do you think? Do we have, to you, in your opinion, do we have that is natural wingers right now? Because if you ask me, I said we haven't replaced Willian. and Pedro. It just seemed as if we're going for players because we see them as the next big thing in Europe, and boom, we spend money and bring them in. It just, to me, overall, we were not strategic in our spendings.
I mean,
And
we
why
don't have
we let Olivier Giroud leave is what I don't know. It just seemed as if we threw everything he did in our run to the Champions League final away and just let him leave. We let Tammy Abraham leave. And we didn't. I didn't think we were looking at the squad and taking the variety and say, okay, if this guy leaves, how many of this kind of a player do we have here? If he gets injured, do we have a proper replacement for him or a deputy? Let me just put it that way. So over to you. Do we even have natural wingers, in your opinion?
I mean, I think right now we just have two natural wingers in Cochila and Pulisic, but with any great team, you have to improvise when things are not going your way. You could convert guys to play in the wing.
I don't know if Toko paid Sydney. You're just fighting for him this day today. But just go ahead.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. A good team has to improvise. Things don't always have to go your way. If your natural wingers are not there, the next guy has to step up and do the job. It doesn't have to be your natural position. So, but unfortunately, like I said, I don't even, like in the past few games, I haven't seen Timo Werner. So I don't even know what's up with him. So I just feel like I said earlier, and now I keep repeating myself, like Chelsea just needs to find a way to get our players back, get our players healthy, and we'll be fine. We're still European champions, so.
Yeah, well, I think you're Toko's lawyer. I don't know everything you've done in this team. They're just finding excuses for him. But that's, by the way. Let's talk about now. What's this question here? What's the point of doing things the same way? It's just not working. Try something else. What else do we think Toko could have or would have done differently to impact changes? I mean, any of you can come in. Is there anything he could have done differently given the situation?
Saying the point of doing the same things is not working. Try something else. Like something else, like what? Anything you still have to try still have to be based on the players you have available. I mean, if you look at that bench, the only person that was on the bench that really wasn't used was Kai Havertz. But Kai Havertz usually plays a false nine, but Lukaku is there and he was very
or the number 8 position.
But and so Lukaku was playing well, and so I don't really see where you could have put him there. And unfortunately for Chelsea, we had to make 2 defensive changes in the first half. So, Christensen wasn't in the first half. It was at the halftime, but still, it was like in the first half. So that really, takes away the options you have to make any offensive substitution. So making those 2 defensive substitutions at the first half rubbed off us, because I know if it wasn't for those changes, someone like Kai Havertz could have come into the game. Or even someone like, I know in the previous games, he has used Barkley. He has had Barkley come into the game.
Yeah, Barkley could have made it different.
Coming in a few games, and he has actually changed a few games. But unfortunately, he couldn't do that today. Just because of
Ty, do you have anything to add?
I'm sorry. What?
And Sydney, by the way, Sydney, the comment on the screen is you. He's referring to you, and that was why I was laughing. He's very positive, like TY.
I swear he was talking about me. I saw.
That's really funny.
I saw TY, and I thought he was talking about me. And what comment were we talking about again?
We were talking about if what you're doing doesn't work, change it. What's the point of repeating it?
Do you
think you could have done anything differently?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he really had the choice. Unless he was gonna play Callum Hudson-Odoi as the wing back on the left, and then Pulisic on the right, and then Reece James, and probably sacrifice Aspie. I don't really know if he had another choice. But
that was actually how I thought that they were going to start that game. I thought Callum Hudson-Odoi was going to play as the left wing back man, And believe me, would have been better off playing him there and
Oh, I
bringing
see.
Reece James to the right, and then with Pulisic moving as one of two number eight, I think would have done better with that structure. Go ahead.
Oh, you know what? Something what Green Turf just said on academy. There were reports that they had players from the academy in training. I I, I wouldn't have mind them probably bringing in some of them like a Simmons like they did for the Brentford game. I'll probably try him as a right wing back again, and I probably would have allowed for Reece James to play as a right centre back, and Callum Hudson-Odoi as the left wing back, and then probably like you have a Pulisic in the front three with a Mount. Maybe something could have been. I was not really thinking about the academy, because then I would probably say maybe that. Oh no, he's trying to wind me up here. He's trying to wind me up. He deliberately said that because he knows that Star is not my favorite of my favorite players. He did it on purpose.
Believe me, it would have been better off if Shaw started as the left wing back guy and Reece James played in his preferred position. But go ahead.
Yeah. Or probably not Reece James, Antonio Rudiger as a left wing back. You because I've never seen Reece. No, I keep saying Reece James. Antonio Rudiger play as a deep centre back. He doesn't. And you can say the same for all three, because it's not a case like that.
Yeah, Sydney, coming to you. Let's look at this question before we move to the next segment and round up, so that because it's getting late for most of us here. Now, Sydney, this here playing both James and Pulisic out of position made no sense. Play one of them out of position and let the other person stay in their preferred position. It's common sense. So that makes me. I don't want to start questioning Thomas Tuchel's decision making, because I really like him. Actually, I really do like him, because look at it here. Let's look at the structure here.
Yeah,
Let me show it here again.
I think we are not giving. I know he said you mentioned that I'm sounding like Tuchel's. I'm defending him so much, but you guys have to understand that these coaches look at the players that we're playing. I mean, there's no way James. The only reason why James, yes, was James played out of position on that left-hand side? Absolutely. Personally, I would have preferred James to play on the right, which is his preferred position. But you have to understand that I'm sure he played James on that left because of Tariq Lamptey. That dude is fast. Alonso cannot keep up with him. You need someone that can keep up with the pace of that guy on that left-hand side. That was the only thing I could think of, the reason why he played James out of position. So, personally, would I have preferred James on the right? Absolutely. Because, like I said earlier, James is very, very necessary to the offensive play and our defensive play. He's still young, so he can do both. That's why initially I was saying the idea of moving, that was my preferred thing, would have been move Aspie to the left. We know he's not as young as he used to be, so he might not give us that much of offensively, but at least he will give us that defensive solidity, and leave James to his natural right, so that he can provide some great crosses for someone like a Lukaku to score. So that was the only alteration I would have made, is to leave James on the right and not play him on the left. But inside is 2020. We can all sit here and debate, all kinds of permutations that we could have done, but
yeah. Okay, how about this suggestion here?
What's that?
How about this suggestion here?
Yeah, Malangasa, that would have been okay too. Like I said, I would have preferred James on the right. I would have preferred him on the right, absolutely. But the coaches, they see these guys in training, they see them day in, day out, they know what conditions they are. The other guy, I saw someone in the comment talking about the academy players. Come on, guys. This is the Premier League. Some of these teams have they have players, like, they prepare for these games. I mean, when we played some academy guys on the Carabao Cup against Brentford, the game was close until the guys came in and won the game later on. So I don't really think, if we have our guys playing, this is not the time to stay bringing academic players in the Premier League. That would just be too much of a stretch for them.
Yeah, here's the
So
follow up topic
why
here. Go ahead.
But if you're gonna use that, haven't we seen teams like a Liverpool and a Manchester City do that for the sake of awarding them after they play them in those cup games,
Yes,
or in the case of like a Villa or a Leeds,
yes.
because
They have done
they
that. They have done that when they absolutely had no other options. I'm saying
Man City have not have the situation of not having the players. They've all rested those players because of resting their first team players. But that would be also contradicting the fact that people are saying that we have one of the best academies. So if that's the case, well, wouldn't that be
But do
contradicting
we
the
have good enough quality there to come in and do a good job? I think the other day Vel did
you
well.
won't you won't know for sure if you don't play them or you don't give them a chance. I'm not saying that you should just put in the academy players because of that, but you have to try something to see what happens. You won't know if you don't try them.
all the good Chelsea academy players are all over Europe playing for different teams. They are all out on loan. So you
Hmm.
have to understand that this is the Chelsea. This is a business model for Chelsea.
I would say the
All of
developed
our
ones. The
all
developed
of our
ones.
yeah, all of our great developed academy players are all over Europe playing for teams. So
Yeah, so great point, right? Let's take this one before we switch to what we're gonna do to solve the situation. It says we need five subs. I don't think for me. I'll start by saying the subs isn't the issue. That aren't the issue for us because if we are allowed to make five subs at the same time, who do we have on the bench, and what difference do you think they're gonna make? And see, I'm gonna let you know it's right for once. You have to try. Yes, Tyron is right for once because he is for us using the academy players. And you are always, I know Ox is always for the academy players, and you and Sid, I know, will always fight if it comes to your channel as a pundit. But that's by the way. Now, the subs, I don't think will make a difference because we're so depleted right now. Even our bench, if you look at it, we know we don't have a good enough players to impact changes. The only person we had on the bed that came on and made a difference was Kante today. Others were practically they were returning from injuries, and there's no way to tell if they're match fit or not. Do you think switching back to five subs will make you know, it could have or would have made a difference for us? Any of you can comment.
I'm definitely in support of the five subs just because maybe not for this game we played today, but like in other games. Because what five subs does for you is that in some games, if you've done the job, if you're leading 2-0, 3-0, then you could give some guys a breather and bring in some guys that could manage the game and have them rest for the next game. Especially now that they are playing literally every 3 days. Even playing 60 minutes versus playing 90 minutes is a whole lot of difference. So that's where five subs will definitely help. If you do your homework, if you do your job, kill off a game I was watching the yesterday when Norwich was playing Crystal Palace. As at the first half, it was 3-0. Second half, they just managed the game until the 90 minutes was over. So situations like that, then you can be able to rest some of your guys and get them back to fitness. Someone like Kante right now, I wouldn't even want just to play Kante 90 minutes because I don't think he's fit for that. Jorginho doesn't look fit to play 90 minutes. Kovacic is coming back from a very long layoff. He's not fit to play 90 minutes. So if you had five subs, then you can gradually give these guys a rest and not have them overextend themselves because this is Wednesday. They all played 90 minutes. Today we'll have Rhys James, we'll have all these guys out. And then on Saturday you go again. And not just that you go again against Liverpool. So that's where to me five subs will definitely help out. Maybe not in every game, but in some games to give your guys a rest.
Um, for um for me, I would say that it's a case where for this game, I think it would have helped a lot because we had to take off two players due to injury, so that had reduced our opportunity of bringing on anybody else to influence the game. Like we're speaking about a Barkley who can probably do something. We're not expecting him to score a goal, but at least offer something to help us create. We had Kai Havertz on the bench. We could have probably taken off Columbus Nadoy and brought on Kai Havertz rather than having to take off Columbus Nadoy for Kante and probably see if he could do something, try to see what would happen between him and Lukaku. We did not have that chance because we had to take off two players due to that injury situation. So 5 subs would have allowed us to take off those 2 players, gave us three more subs, allowing us to bring on Kante still, probably for Kovacic, who was on a yellow card, Kai Havertz for a Columbus Nadoy, and then probably, I don't know, if you want to risk it, bring on Saul Niguez. I don't know, but probably would have given us the opportunity to use 4 subs rather than 3. I'm not hearing you.
Was on mute. I'm saying,
Yeah.
but then again, you see how difficult it would have been for Tuchel to also find 5 subs to bring in to impact change in the game because it was so depleted. You weren't sure. You mentioned Sawinu Guers, and then you went, I don't know. And I mean, we're so depleted that it is crazy. It's so scary right now. I see when you get a chance, I want you to look at something in the chat where he says, Org says, I need a special panel for the Super Eagles AFCON off topic. I know it's off topic, but I want to be part of that. And it depends on the time. I think if Sydney doesn't have work that day, he probably will honor that. Have him look at it and see for himself whether it's something that he can do. So, but that's by the way. Now let's talk about the current situation and the now January transfer window opens in a few days, and some people have actually made some signing. Barcelona have completed the signing of what's his name, Ferran Torres, from Manchester City for I'm not sure, was it 65 or 35 million dollars? I'm not sure, but that's by the way.
It's 55.
Now 65. Now for Chelsea, the focus for most people has just been getting a left wing back player. It doesn't look like most people are paying attention to the issues we have in the squad. It doesn't look like most people recognize that Thiago Silva is not getting any younger. It doesn't look like people are talking about Rudiger potentially leaving. Nobody talks about lack of proper deputy or maybe competition for Reece James in the right wing back position. It doesn't look like anybody is talking about the lack of goals contributions from our midfield in terms of, except for Jorginho from penalty spots. So what do we really need? Is it just a left wing back player? I think we need more than that. Any of you can comment.
Yeah, I want to quickly say something. Before we had this injury dilemma with Chilwell and Norwich James, my 2 views were probably trying to get a defender in and a midfielder. Now, obviously, another target we should look to get is a left wing back because obviously Alonso cannot be the only left wing back that we have, and also he's not competent enough to play the games that we need him to play in. There was a discussion that I was involved in, and with the selections, with the options that we've chosen, with a Lucas Dini, probably calling back a Ian Mattison, which I think is the most unpopular opinion. Emerson, all of those 3 players, you need somebody to accommodate them, someone to defend them. For example, with a Trent, we all know that Trent isn't the best defensively, but he has a Fabinho at Liverpool to help him. He has a midfielder to help him as a defender. And that would be the same for us. You mentioned something about Thiago Silva not being younger. I think it would be important to bring in a defender so they could learn from him at this period, particular a young one. The first one that comes to mind is a Jules Koundé. I don't know how possible that is, which is why I was saying earlier that
For what position specifically in the back, the middle
right
of the
or
3,
left?
or to the right or to the left?
right or the to left. Like he's versatile. He can play on the left and the right.
But
So
can he lead the back three?
that was what I was getting to. The thing is, you have to find somebody who's who's competent, who is a leader in that role, and that's the case where we're speaking about. Normally, you don't find those type of players in the winter. You normally find them in the summer, but
Yep, Sydney
it's
highlighted that.
yeah, it's plainly obvious that you need to find one in the winter because you mentioned it as well that without a Thiago Silva we lack that leadership in the defense. We don't have that player who can lead them, cause the defense to not be disjointed because not only is the midfield disjointed, the defense is disjointed without a Thiago Silva there. So it's necessary to have somebody who can lead and maybe I know that Orgs probably would probably say a Declan Rice, who is versatile enough to play as a centre back. But the thing is, the price is a major issue. But at the same time, it's a difficult situation. I personally think a midfield is important, like you mentioned, because Kante isn't reliable. I think we can fairly say that he's an injury-prone player. So it's necessary to have a midfielder who can step in and my first option will always be Chouameni, whether or not anybody agrees with me or disagrees. Chouameni is
Yeah, and the
probably
person you're referring to already knows he's probably going to throw a punch right now. Go
yeah
ahead.
Chouameni because I personally think that he has the offensive capabilities that we need, and especially with Fabregas continuously recommending Chelsea to get him, and him being that mentor for him, he's going to learn. I'm pretty sure he's learned some things from Fabregas when he was at Monaco. So he would have been the ideal person to help create from the midfield and probably accommodate a Lukaku who needs those passes or those necessary um offensive participation from coming from the midfield. So it's important for me to get through many if necessary. And wing back is obvious. Lucas Dean is the most common, but Theo Hernandez is another one for 55 million.
Yeah, again, I think even before Thomas Tuchel's arrival, I've argued that it's important we get midfielders who can get us goal. And my argument then being the only midfielders who got plenty of goals from was Jorginho. He was a top goal scorer this past season, and all his goals came from the penalty spot. And that's not acceptable. We could say, yeah, our defenders, you know, they've been scoring goals for us, but our midfielders, they haven't scored goals for us. Even this season from open play, I think Mateo Kovacic did once. Yeah. Sydney, coming to you, what do you think? What do we really need? Because we need more than just a backup player for bench. Where we need players in the midfield. We need central midfielders. We need wingers. If you
I
ask me,
mean,
we need competition for Rhys James. What do you think?
I think we need there are some few positions that we need to absolutely reinforce until the season is over, and then we can get more play. Because yeah, we can always get more attack-minded players in that attack, but for now, the critical ones are left back for because Chilwell, Alonso has not been up to par this season. I'm sorry to say that, but Alonso there he's just making up the numbers at this point. And we never replaced Kurt Zuma when he left for West Ham. So we definitely need a defender. We need a left wing back. We need some wingers. We need like a wing, at least maybe a right winger to come in. So, but I know these things are hard to. It'll be hard to fill in the January transfer window. So I'm looking forward to the team being strengthened in the summer. But for now, if we could just find these three positions to fill up and try and compete on all levels and end the season on a high note.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need a central midfielder. We need a winger, a proper winger, because like I said before, we haven't replaced William and even Pedro. Those we don't have any player in that team that can even measure them in terms of offensive contributions. But that's by the way. I want to say something here to this brother that I like to fight all the time. You're talking about Chelsea contacted Ousmane Dembele's camp, according to Simon Phillips. Here's the question: when the talks were Chelsea should go for what's his name, Griezmann, there were or some Chelsea fans, the sections of the Chelsea fan base were crying foul, foul. He's racist. Is that? Is that? Now, I don't hear anybody saying Dembele is racist because he's the guy. He's actually the primary subject in that issue. Griezmann was just watching him and laughing. So Dembele was the guy who said everything that was said in the video. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Chelsea fans had issues for the fact it was rumored that the club was going for Antonio Griezmann. So why are we going for Dembele right now? Have we swept that issue under the floor, or is it because Dembele is black? It's easy not to like say, "Oh, he's racist." I don't know. Are you aware of the? You get my point now, Ty?
Yeah, and there's another reason why I don't think we should even go close to him. If you go to the
Sorry, Ty. Just 1 second. Sid, I'm sure you. Do you know the story that happened? I think it was in Japan. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Ty.
yeah the thing is as well. I think there's another reason why we should stay far away from Dembele. If you go to the background story behind what's happening between him and Barcelona, the reason why he doesn't want to is because they're not offering him what he wants. Now, what if it's a case where we go into deep negotiation with him and it falls apart because we're also not willing to? Because if we're not willing to give Antonio Rudiger, who is a leader on the left, he has the aggression and everything. Wouldn't it be contradictory if we're going to give a player who is not willing to extend with his current club right now because they're not willing to offer him?
And that's a good question. I know he's in a high wage, and I think Barcelona will be looking actually for him to leave, if you ask me, because they want to reduce player wages to be able to sign new players, because that's one of the things that let them into the problem, the financial issues they're having at this point. But the question is, you get my point now, Ty. Forget about the wages. Should we even be talking about Dembele? We'll take every question and we'll talk about this one, how if these guys were, good replacement for these two players, as Bobby Fairview did mention. But this year, again, Ty, listen to me, or maybe I'll come back to you again. Sydney, Chelsea fans cried foul. Most of them said, no, we don't want him in our club. He's racist, because of what happened in Japan. Now, I've heard this for a week, and I've been planning to make a video on that. If we reject the signing of Antoine Griezmann, why are we happy? Why are we asking the club to go for Dembele, who was the principal character, the primary character in that racist issue that the whole world saw the video? Not even Griezmann. Griezmann shouldn't have been blamed in any way. So why are we talking about going for Dembele?
I think those are just speculations. I don't think there's no loud chorus of fans wanting Dembele to come into Chelsea. But even that those issues apart, Dembele has a terrible injury record. You don't even want him in your team. He has barely played for Barcelona in the past 4 years that he's been there. He has missed at the minimum 20 games a season for the past 4 years. So I don't think there's any loud chorus of fans, even in some of the Chelsea fan, forums that I follow. I don't see any chorus of fans yearning for Dembele to come in.
So you're thinking it's just a rumor?
I just think it's rumor. It's just mere speculation. I don't think there's much more to that.
And besides, it will be a PR nightmare for the club should they decide to even go ahead with it, because they have to ask the questions. Some people might not say a lot, but the moment he comes into the club, it will raise questions. Okay, we didn't want Griezmann. Why is this guy here? Because he was the main perpetrator in terms of the incident in Japan or wherever. But that's, by the way, let's move on to this one here. And so we have about 4 inputs to round up, because I want us to round up in about 14 minutes or so. It says, bring Attilas Lazai. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name correctly. I've heard so much about the guy, and I
You
haven't
were
taken my
close. You
time
were
to.
close. You were close to it. The pronunciation.
Can you help me?
Sazali.
Sazali, okay, Atalay Sazali, but that's a bad spelling. If you ask me, that
Yeah.
his name shouldn't be spelled like that.
Yeah.
but that's, by the way, I don't know him that much. I know Lucasdane. Billy Gilmore is good enough. He can deputize for Jorginho, and when he was still available for us, whenever he comes in place of Jorginho, he does quite well. And all the games he played under Thomas Tuchel, it was just once that he didn't win man of the match. And if you ask me, I'd say he progresses the ball very well, even better than Jorginho does. He's a small guy, but he's strong. Yes, I agree. Bring him back. Who's been abused at Norwich? That's correct. He's been abused there. They don't respect his talent. And again, some Chelsea fans surprisingly are blaming Gilmore, not even recognizing that he doesn't have that much of good players around him. Because no matter how good you are, if the players around you aren't that good enough, you will look bad also. But if you have plenty of good players and a single bad player, they make the bad player look bad. But at Norwich, it's the other way around. Billy Gilmore is so good, and I think he's bigger than Norwich. If you ask me, no disrespect, but they disrespect the kid, and I have every right to complain the way I did. So, do you know? Let me just call it the way I want to call it, Slazai or
You can use
Slazy or
it. Go by the
whatever.
first name. Go by the first name.
Okay, Attila, do you know him very well?
Not very well, but I know enough about him to say something.
So go
Um,
ahead. What do you think?
he's an Hungarian defender. He plays on the same side as Rudiger. He implements the same role that Rudiger tends to do, and as play on the as left centre back, pushing forward for Hungary. Sorry.
No problem.
Um, and I think he plays in the um he plays in the back three, so that's other positive because he knows how to play in the back three. He's a good player when it comes on to going forward, supporting the attackers because he tends to make those passes to them, and he's a good crosser as well. So he'll be if you go for him, he'll be coming in as a challenger for Rudiger.
That
And
is, if Rudiger is still around.
yeah,
Okay, question for you. Have we signed
Sorry,
him?
guys.
Really? Is that
I
true?
really have to go. I really
Okay,
have to go.
okay.
It's been a pleasure joining you, man. Let me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you finding time to join Sydney. Thank you. Yeah, so go ahead, Ty. Have we signed him already, or is it just rumors?
I think it's mainly rumors because we haven't really heard any further details from any of the reliable English journalists like Matt
And
Law
the
or
club hasn't confirmed it.
yeah, the club haven't confirmed it at all. They've only mentioned a case where linked centre back reportedly signs for the club, but they've never confirmed to say that we are pro to announce or something like that. It, but he's a player who's done good for Hungary, and I don't really know to pronounce the club that he plays for. It's an F name, I think it's Finder Hands or something like that.
So you think overall, you think he would do a good job if the rumors are true that we've signed him?
Oh, it's a different league he's in, but he can do a job on the left. He's a really good player offensively, and he's good defensively as well. I've seen him. I did see him playing in the Euros, so I know that he can be impactful. He played quite well against England and for Hungary, and despite them not scoring a goal and them getting trashed, he did quite well for them, and he can really benefit the team offensively.
Okay. All right. Let's quickly run through the inputs in the chart so that we can round up. We are closing into 2 hours, and that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dembele was a racist one, if any. I understand your argument. I know where you stand on that issue very well, but that's, by the way, Dembele is a chief character in that incident in Japan. So for this one, Barcelona offered salary cut. He's on 10K a week. If we offer 250, he'd come. But like Sydney mentioned, he's concerned about his injury history. Plus, it is a PR nightmare for the club, if you ask me, no matter the situation, whether he was racist or not, for the fact that it's been argued, it's out there. There's a video of him making fun of Asian men in the video. Uh, I think it's a really it's a big issue for the club, and I'm not for the club going for him if we didn't go for Antoine Griezmann because we thought he was racist. Why go for Ousmane Dembele? So for this comment here, Tuku was accused of racist by Demba Ba, but we ignored it too. Yeah, I think it's something I'd have to research. Do you know anything about that incident, Ty?
I do recall him saying Tuchel was racist. I remember that it was a game between, I think it was Istanbul and PSG, where the referee says that black guy, and he said that why do you say that black guy when you're talking about someone who's white? You don't say that white guy, you just say that guy. I don't remember it about. Actually, yes, he did. He did. I just researched it. He
So
says
what did he say really? What
he
did
says
Tuku say?
Dembaba accuses PSG boss Thomas Tuchel of blaming Istanbul players for the racist storm with the fourth official in their Champions League game,
Okay. So
and
you
once the
think?
next time I
What do you
see
think?
him,
What did
he
he
will hear
say?
about
He
it.
said. So the issue was that he said that black guy.
He said in the situation was that Dembaba said why when you're talking about someone who's black, you say that black guy. But when you're talking about someone who's white, you don't say that white guy, you say that guy. So
Yes, I think that brings to mind some of the languages even pundits use or commentators use during games. I think somebody have talked about it. When they refer to black players, they refer to use terms such as he's a monster, he's a beast of a player. Because we have to be mindful of the language we use, even when the intention isn't to be racist or be prejudiced or maybe be sexist. The languages sometimes can cause us problems. If Tuku
mm,
meant to be racist, I don't know. I think I'm have to go. I will research that
he
incident to
did.
get well acquainted with it. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think he in generally said that he is racist. He just said that let me go back to it. He says something about the next time I see him he will hear about it. He says something. It was about Tuchel blaming them for the incident and vote to discuss it with him when they meet again. So it's about a case where Tuchel was blaming the Istanbul players for the incident, and we're trying to find an excuse.
Possibly. So we're not sure we weren't there, and that even reminds me of Sari. I think something similar was said about Sari, but I can't remember his own case. But that's by the way. Yeah. Let's look at the last comment in the chart so we can call it a day. It says, hasn't Bill Gilmore been losing position and responsible for conceding goals at Norwich? What do you have to say to that,
I,
Ty?
I think he was responsible for them conceding a goal. I don't remember what team it was. I don't remember. I don't remember what team it was, but I don't think so. He's been one of the best players they've gotten on loan, to be honest, because he's been every time he's played for them, he's been winning man of the match, and and if it's a case where he's winning man of the match, it's not like they're giving any and anybody the man of the match. It's someone who really stands out, really, and who's making that impact. So I don't agree with that. He's not been losing possession. He has lost possession on some occasions, but at the same time, he can't be doing everything on his own. And he's not responsible for conceding goals. I think they conceded 2 goals due to a mistake he made, but he's still young.
Yes, I agree with you, and that brings to mind the statement: "A tree cannot make a forest." So that statement very much applies to Billy Gilmore's situation at Norwich. They don't have a good enough team. So the expectations with so much expectations on Billy Gilmore, he will hardly ever, you know, measure our expectations, what is expected of him at that club, because they don't have good enough team to, to work with him to see the best of Billy Gilmore. But that's, by the way, Ty, please take some time to tell people about Ty Talks, CFC, and why. Before you go ahead, I'd like to read the last comment and also thank Green Top, my brother Ox, for staying there, and he's been there throughout the stream. And also Bobby Fairview, you've been there throughout the stream, and I appreciate your support. And every other person that have commented and left, it's a pleasure. Herbert, Eric Blue, Leicester Till I Die, my friend Chris from Leicester Till I Die, who owns the channel. Matt ZV Jr. is a great friend and a brother also from CFC chat. I appreciate you all and thank you for finding some time to support the stream. So Ty, go ahead, tell the viewers who you are, about your channel, and how they can find you on social media. This says, okay, that story about Tuchel, needs to be described properly. There was never any accusations against Tuchel for racism. It was an argument about who was to blame. Thank you for clarifying that, Bobby Fairview. And yes,
Yeah, that's true. That is true,
thank you
because
very much. I think it wasn't. Yeah, exactly. So that is
he was talking to the referee. The Bobo was speaking to the referee when he said that. Why when you're talking about a white guy, you say that white guy, but when you're talking about a black guy, you say that black guy. So
thank you for clarifying that, Bobby. And again, Grito says thank you, a good guy through and through. I appreciate you, and I can't thank you enough for how much you've contributed to the growth of Chelsea perspective. All I can do is try not to disappoint. So Ty, go ahead, tell the viewers who you are, about your channel, social media platforms where you have presence, so that they can reach you.
Okay, so my channel, my new main channel is Ty Talks Chelsea Football Club. I do match reviews, previews occasionally. I'll do reactions and not reactions. I will do I'll have discussions, and I'll have tribute videos to give tribute to past players who are considered legends. You can also find me on Twitter at Ty_talks and on Instagram Ty Talks CFC. Thanks for having me.
Yes, Ty has great content. Also, I'd like you, if you haven't, go check out the Green Turf or Global Fans channel. I think you'll love the content there. You'd feel at home. I can guarantee you that, because it's democracy there. You have the right to go join the panel, voice your opinion, and go check it out yourself, and you will thank me later. Also, go check out Ty Talks CFC, great channel. A kid who's well versed in how football is played and knowledgeable in football, and that's why I like always have Ty around to talk football. But I think you should go check out his channel, see his content for yourself, and get to understand what I'm saying. And I will make sure to leave Ty's complete information in the description section so that you all can go and check it out. I think we have a latecomer here, and unfortunately we're rounding up, and it's saying up the Charles, a great friend who I'd love to be part of this. Maybe after the next game, because I want to make this content constant for game days. Okay, we'll talk about it again. I know we'll still talk. So we are going to round up, and thank you again to everybody. Thank you to Sid, who had to leave early for personal reasons, and I appreciate you all. And again, Mikhail, litness is greatness. It's always good to see you around supporting the channel. Your support means the world to me. Even when you don't have the time to join the panel, I appreciate your support, and that means a lot to me. Thank you very much, guys. See you all next time, and God bless you all. And I wish you all a prosperous new year, as we have just a few days to go into 2022. God bless us all and lead us to the new year and provide a platform for us all to survive. See you all next time. Cheers.